Have you ever felt like the world is trying to pull the wool over your eyes? That the information you're receiving is just the tip of the iceberg, and there's a whole hidden reality beneath the surface? Well, you're not alone. In fact, there are powerful forces at play that benefit from keeping the general population uninformed and uncritical. They want to keep you dumbed down. Let's start with a shocking statistic. Did you know that the average American adult reads at only a 7th or 8th grade level? This isn't just a random fact. It's a symptom of a much larger problem: the systematic dumbing down of our education system. Think back to your own school days. Do you remember spending countless hours memorizing facts and figures, preparing for standardized tests that seemed to measure nothing but your ability to regurgitate information? Did you ever feel like your creativity and critical thinking skills were being stifled, replaced by a relentless focus on rote learning? This isn't an accident. Over the past few decades, there has been a deliberate shift away from education that fosters independent thought and challenges the status quo. The emphasis is now on producing compliant workers who can follow instructions without asking too many questions. Consider how certain subjects are taught. History, for instance, can be presented as a series of events and dates, devoid of any real analysis or critical examination of the motives and consequences behind those events. Civics classes might focus on the mechanics of government, but fail to encourage students to question the underlying power structures and the influence of special interests. The result is a generation of graduates who are ill-equipped to navigate the complexities of the modern world. They lack the critical thinking skills necessary to evaluate information, identify bias, and make informed decisions. They are, in essence, easy targets for manipulation and control. And it's not just the classroom that's contributing to this dumbing down. The media plays a significant role as well. Mainstream news outlets often prioritize sensationalism and clickbait over in-depth reporting and analysis. Complex issues are reduced to sound bites and catchy headlines, leaving viewers with a superficial understanding of the world around them. Entertainment, too, has become increasingly shallow and mindless. Reality TV shows and celebrity gossip dominate the airwaves, while thought-provoking documentaries and educational programs are relegated to obscure channels or late-night time slots. This constant bombardment of trivial and sensational content serves to distract and desensitize the public, making it less likely that they will engage in critical thinking or challenge the prevailing narratives. It's a form of mental junk food designed to keep us entertained and docile. The consequences of this dumbing down are far-reaching. A population that lacks critical thinking skills is more susceptible to propaganda, manipulation, and exploitation. They are less likely to question authority, challenge injustice, or demand accountability from their leaders. In short, they are easier to control, and that's exactly what those in power want. They want a population that is passive, compliant, and easily swayed by emotional appeals and simplistic solutions. They want a population that is in essence dumbed down. But it doesn't have to be this way. We have the power to break free from this cycle of ignorance and apathy. We can reclaim our minds and our voices. We can learn to think critically, question everything, and demand better from our education system, our media, and our leaders. Let's talk about the role of the media in this grand scheme of keeping the public dumbed down. It's no secret that mainstream media holds immense power in shaping public opinion and reinforcing established narratives. But how exactly do they contribute to this dumbing down? One major way is through the prevalence of sensationalism and clickbait. News outlets are constantly vying for our attention, and they know that shocking headlines and dramatic stories are more likely to grab you by nuanced analysis or in-depth reporting. Complex issues are often reduced to sound bites and catchy phrases, leaving viewers with a superficial understanding of the world around them. Think about the last time you scrolled through your social media feed or flipped through the channels on your TV. How many of the headlines were designed to evoke an emotional response, rather than provide you with factual information? This constant bombardment of sensational and shallow content serves to distract us from the bigger picture. It keeps us entertained and engaged, but it also prevents us from truly understanding the complexities of the world around us. It's a form of mental junk food that leaves us feeling full, but ultimately malnourished. Another way media contributes to the dumbing down is by prioritizing shallow entertainment over educational and informative programming. Reality TV shows, celebrity gossip, and mindless sitcoms dominate the airwaves, while documentaries, in-depth news analysis, and educational programs are often relegated to obscure channels or late-night time slots. This creates a culture where intellectual curiosity and critical thinking are not valued. We are conditioned to seek out instant gratification and easy entertainment, rather than challenging ourselves with new ideas and perspectives. We become passive consumers of information, rather than active participants in the search for knowledge and understanding. The media landscape is also heavily influenced by corporate interests and political agendas. Many major news outlets are owned by large corporations that have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. They may be reluctant to report on stories that could harm their profits or challenge the power structures that benefit them. Political parties and special interest groups often use the media to promote their own agendas and discredit their opponents. They may employ spin doctors and PR firms to craft carefully worded messages that appeal to emotions and prejudices, rather than logic and reason. The result is a media environment that is often biased, misleading, and incomplete. It's a landscape where truth and objectivity can be hard to find, and where the public is constantly bombarded with conflicting narratives and agendas. In such an environment, it's easy to become confused, cynical, and disengaged. It's easy to give up on trying to understand the world and simply accept the information that is spoon-fed to us. And that's exactly what those in power want. Now let's shift our focus to another powerful force that contributes to the dumbing down of society: consumerism and materialism. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with messages telling us that happiness and success can be found in the accumulation of material possessions. We are encouraged to buy the latest gadgets, wear the trendiest clothes, and drive the fanciest cars, all in the pursuit of a fleeting sense of fulfillment. But this relentless focus on material possessions comes at a cost. It distracts us from the things that truly matter, like our relationships, our health, and our personal growth. It creates a culture of comparison and competition, where we constantly measure our worth against others based on what we own. Advertising and marketing play a major role in perpetuating this consumerist mindset. They bombard us with images of idealized lifestyles and happy consumers, associating their products with success, beauty, and popularity. They appeal to our emotions and insecurities, creating a sense of need and desire for things we may not even truly want. This constant exposure to consumerist messaging can have a profound impact on our thinking and behavior. It can lead us to prioritize material possessions over intellectual or spiritual growth. It can make us believe that happiness can be bought rather than earned through hard work and personal development. Consumerism encourages a culture of instant gratification. We want everything now, and we're not willing to wait or work for it. This can lead to impulsive spending, debt, and a general sense of dissatisfaction with our lives. The consequences of this consumerist mindset are far-reaching. It can lead to environmental degradation, as we consume more and more resources to fuel our insatiable appetite for stuff. It can lead to social inequality, as the gap between the haves and the have-nots continues to widen. And perhaps most importantly, it can lead to a sense of emptiness and unfulfillment. When we base our happiness on material possessions, we are building our lives on a shaky foundation. The thrill of a new purchase fades quickly, leaving us craving more and more. But there is an alternative. We can choose to reject the consumerist mindset and focus on the things that truly matter. We can cultivate gratitude for what we have, rather than constantly striving for more. We can invest in experiences and relationships, rather than material possessions. We can also become more conscious consumers, choosing to support companies that align with our values and prioritize sustainability and ethical practices. We can learn to repair and reuse, rather than constantly buying new things. By shifting our focus away from consumerism and materialism, we can create a more fulfilling and sustainable way of life. We can free ourselves from the endless cycle of want and desire and find true happiness in the things that money can't buy. The political landscape. Let's now turn our attention to the political landscape, a realm where the dumbing down of the public is often most apparent. Politics can be a complex and nuanced field, but it's often reduced to simplistic slogans, emotional appeals, and divisive rhetoric. Politicians and their handlers understand the power of fear, anger, and prejudice. They know that by stoking these emotions, they can manipulate voters and distract them from the real issues at hand. They can create a sense of urgency and crisis, even when none exists, in order to justify their own agendas and policies. Think about the last election cycle. How many campaign ads focused on fear-mongering and character assassination, rather than substantive policy proposals? How many politicians resorted to name-calling and personal attacks, instead of engaging in meaningful debate and discussion? This kind of political rhetoric is not only detrimental to the democratic process, but it also contributes to the dumbing down of the public. It discourages critical thinking and encourages us to make decisions based on gut feelings and tribal loyalties, rather than informed analysis and rational consideration. The political landscape is also heavily influenced by lobbyists and special interest groups, who often wield disproportionate power and influence over policy decisions. These groups may represent corporations, industries, or wealthy individuals, and their primary goal is to advance their own interests, even if it comes at the expense of the general public. They may donate large sums of money to political campaigns, fund think tanks and research institutes that promote their views, and employ lobbyists to influence lawmakers and regulators. They may even draft legislation themselves, ensuring that their interests are protected and their profits maximized. This creates a system where the voices of ordinary citizens are often drowned out by the powerful and well-connected. It's a system where policy decisions are made behind closed doors, and where the public is left in the dark about the true motivations and consequences of those decisions. The result is a political landscape that is often unresponsive to the needs and concerns of the majority. It's a landscape where the rich and powerful get richer, while the middle class struggles to keep up. It's a landscape where the public's trust in government is eroded and where cynicism and apathy prevail. But there is hope. We can demand more from our elected officials. We can hold them accountable for their actions and their promises. We can educate ourselves about the issues that matter to us and engage in the political process. We can support candidates who prioritize the public good over special interests, and we can vote for policies that promote fairness, equality, and opportunity for all. By becoming more informed and engaged citizens, we can challenge the status quo and demand a political system that truly represents the will of the people. We can break free from the cycle of manipulation and apathy, and create a more just and equitable society for all. Now let's explore a darker side of the forces that seek to keep us dumbed down: the suppression of dissent. In a truly free and open society, individuals should be able to express their opinions and challenge prevailing narratives without fear of reprisal. In reality, those who dare to speak out against the status quo often face censorship, ridicule, and even persecution. Whistleblowers who expose corruption or wrongdoing may find themselves ostracized, fired from their jobs, or even facing legal charges. Journalists who investigate sensitive topics may be threatened, harassed, or silenced. Activists who advocate for social change may be labeled as troublemakers or extremists. This suppression of dissent serves to maintain the status quo and protect the interests of those in power. It discourages critical thinking and independent thought, and it creates a climate of fear and conformity. Think about the times you've hesitated to express your opinion on a controversial topic, fearing that you might be judged or ridiculed. Or perhaps you've witnessed someone else being silenced or marginalized for daring to challenge the prevailing narrative. This suppression of dissent is not only unjust, but it's also detrimental to the health of our society. When we silence those who question the status quo, we deprive ourselves of valuable perspectives and insights. We miss out on opportunities to learn, grow, and improve. Free speech and open dialogue are essential for a vibrant and democratic society. They allow us to challenge assumptions, expose injustices, and hold those in power accountable. They foster a culture of curiosity, creativity, and innovation. We must defend the right to dissent even when it makes us uncomfortable or challenges our own beliefs. We must be willing to listen to those who hold different opinions and engage in respectful dialogue and debate. By accepting dissent, we can create a more inclusive and enlightened society. We can break free from the echo chambers and filter bubbles that reinforce our own biases and limit our understanding of the world. We can foster a culture where truth and justice prevail and where the voices of all are heard and respected. The illusion of choice. Let's now consider another subtle yet powerful way in which we are kept in a state of intellectual passivity: the illusion of choice. In many aspects of our lives, we're presented with what seems like a wide array of options, but in reality, the choices are often limited and controlled. This illusion of choice can extend to our political system, our media consumption, and even our consumer habits. Take our political system, for example. In many countries, we have a two-party system that dominates the political landscape. While there may be other parties on the ballot, they often lack the resources and visibility to compete effectively. This creates a situation where voters feel compelled to choose between the lesser of two evils, rather than having a genuine range of options that reflect their diverse views and values. Media ownership is often concentrated in the hands of a few large corporations. These corporations may have their own agendas and biases, which can influence the news and information that is presented to the public. Even with the rise of the internet and social media, algorithms and filter bubbles can limit our exposure to diverse perspectives, reinforcing our existing beliefs and creating echo chambers where dissenting voices are rarely heard. In the realm of consumerism, we're constantly bombarded with choices, countless brands, products, and services vying for our attention. Many of these products are owned by the same parent companies, creating an illusion of diversity while limiting true competition and innovation. We may feel like we have endless options, but in reality, our choices are often constrained by the interests of a few powerful corporations. This illusion of choice can have a profound impact on our sense of agency and autonomy. When we believe that we have a wide range of options, we may feel empowered and in control. When we realize that our choices are limited and manipulated, we may feel disillusioned and apathetic. This can lead to disengagement from the political process, a lack of interest in current events, and a general sense of powerlessness. But it's important to remember that true freedom lies in the ability to think critically and make informed decisions, even when our choices are limited. We can seek out alternative sources of information, challenge prevailing narratives, and engage in open and honest dialogue with those who hold different perspectives. We can support independent media, grassroots organizations, and local businesses that offer genuine alternatives to the mainstream. By recognizing the illusion of choice and actively seeking out diverse perspectives, we can break free from the constraints that seek to limit our thinking and our actions. We can reclaim our autonomy and become active participants in shaping our own lives and the world around us. In the face of these numerous forces that seek to keep us dumbed down, the power of critical thinking emerges as our most potent weapon. Critical thinking is the ability to analyze information objectively, question assumptions, and make reasoned judgments. It's about going beyond surface-level understanding and digging deeper to uncover the underlying motivations, biases, and implications of the information we encounter. Critical thinking is not about being negative or cynical. It's about being curious, open-minded, and willing to challenge our own beliefs. It's about recognizing that there are multiple perspectives on any given issue, and that no one has a monopoly on truth. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with information from various sources, critical thinking is more important than ever. It allows us to filter out the noise, identify reliable sources, and distinguish between fact and opinion. It helps us to resist manipulation and propaganda, and to make informed decisions based on evidence and reason. Critical thinking is not a skill that we are born with. It's something that we need to cultivate and develop throughout our lives. We can do this by reading widely, engaging in thoughtful discussions, and seeking out diverse perspectives. We can also learn to identify logical fallacies, recognize bias, and question the assumptions that underlie our own beliefs. The benefits of critical thinking are numerous. It can help us to become more informed and engaged citizens, better equipped to participate in the democratic process. It can make us more effective problem solvers, able to analyze complex issues and identify creative solutions. It can even improve our personal relationships by helping us to communicate more effectively and understand different points of view. But perhaps the most important benefit of critical thinking is that it empowers us to take control of our own lives. When we think critically, we are less likely to be swayed by emotional appeals, fear-mongering, and simplistic solutions. We are more likely to make decisions based on our own values and priorities, rather than those imposed on us by others. In a world that often seems chaotic and confusing, critical thinking provides a compass that can guide us towards truth, understanding, and meaningful action. It's a skill that can help us to navigate the complexities of the modern world, resist manipulation, and create a better future for ourselves and for generations to come. Now that we've explored the various ways in which we're being dumbed down, it's time to discuss how we can take back control. The good news is that we're not powerless in this situation. There are concrete steps we can take to resist manipulation, become more informed, and actively participate in shaping our own lives and the world around us. First and foremost, we need to prioritize education and critical thinking. This means going beyond the surface level and actively seeking out diverse perspectives and sources of information. Read books, articles, and blogs from a variety of viewpoints. Listen to podcasts and watch documentaries that challenge your assumptions and expand your understanding of the world. Engage in thoughtful discussions with people who hold different opinions than your own. It's also important to be mindful of the media we consume. Don't just passively absorb whatever is presented to you. Question the narratives, identify the biases, and seek out alternative sources of information. Support independent media outlets that prioritize investigative journalism and in-depth analysis over sensationalism and clickbait. In addition to educating ourselves, we need to become more active participants in the political process. This means staying informed about the issues that matter to us, contacting our elected officials to voice our concerns, and voting in every election. It also means supporting candidates and policies that prioritize the public good over special interests, and holding our leaders accountable for their actions. Consumerism and materialism can be powerful forces, but we can resist their influence by becoming more conscious consumers. This means thinking critically about our purchases and considering the environmental and social impact of our choices. It also means prioritizing experiences and relationships over material possessions and finding joy in the simple things in life. The forces that seek to keep us dumbed down are powerful, but we are stronger when we stand together. Join grassroots organizations, participate in protests and demonstrations, and use your voice to advocate for change. Remember, change starts with each of us. By taking these steps, we can break free from the cycle of ignorance and apathy and become active participants in shaping our own destinies. We can create a world where critical thinking, independent thought, and informed action are valued and celebrated. We can build a future where we are no longer dumbed down, but empowered and enlightened. In this exploration of the forces that seek to keep us dumbed down, we've uncovered a complex web of manipulation and control. From the education system to the media, from consumerism to politics, there are powerful interests that benefit from keeping the public uninformed and uncritical. But we've also seen that we are not powerless in this situation. We have the ability to resist manipulation, seek out knowledge, and actively participate in shaping our own lives and the world around us. By prioritizing education, critical thinking, and informed action, we can break free from the constraints that seek to limit our potential. The journey towards a more enlightened and empowered society will not be easy. There will be challenges and setbacks along the way, but the stakes are too high to give up. The future of our democracy, our planet, and our very humanity depends on our ability to resist the forces that seek to keep us dumbed down. So let us accept the power of knowledge, the courage to question, and the determination to create a better world for ourselves and for generations to come. Let us reject the easy answers and the simplistic solutions and instead accept the complexity and nuance of the world around us. Let us be the generation that breaks free from the cycle of ignorance and apathy and instead chooses a path of enlightenment and empowerment. Let us be the generation that refuses to be dumbed down and instead rises up to meet the challenges of our time with wisdom, compassion, and unwavering resolve. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us continue creating content that challenges the status quo and encourages critical thinking. Together, we can break free from the forces that seek to keep us dumbed down and build a more informed and empowered society.